Hello, everybody. You're in the ring with Christine, and this is Women Crushing It Wednesday. How's everybody doing today? My girls, how y'all doing? Esmeralda, how's it going over there?
It's hot,
It's hot.
humid, and hot.
Okay, so how hot is it, and where are you? Tell everybody where you're at.
Let me look it up the weather. I'm in Tijuana right now. I was in San Diego earlier, but it's not bad. It's 73 here. It's just the humidity is 70.
Oh,
Oof.
okay. Well, I don't feel sorry for you then because it's really hot up here.
It's different for out here, so we're not used to
That's
that.
true. That's true. It's different heat, different humidity. And Tracy, Boxer Girl, where you at?
I'm in Chicago,
What's that
and
weather like?
it's pretty hot. It's humid, so I can't stand humidity. Can't stand it. Makes my hair fat. Like, like
I can relate.
yeah, it's
I
like
can
the
definitely relate
Dago
to that.
curls come out. The Dago curls come out. But yeah, no. Reporting
I
from
can relate.
I'm in the middle of you guys. So I'm
Okay.
squeezed in the middle. You guys all hugging me and stuff.
Okay, I got you. Okay, and Nika, where you at? And what's that weather like? Well, I wish I was where you're at, but where you at?
I'm in Miami right now.
I'm in Miami,
So
bitch.
it's very humid here. But I've been inside with the AC, so I'm good.
Okay, yeah, right. See, I would just go straight to the beach. So
Yeah.
Lee,
No, I have to
is
work
it good
during the
heat?
week, so
Right. Afterward, I'd go jump it. Oh my gosh, I think I'd be in the beach all the time. But then people say that, but when you live there, it's different, right?
yeah, it's just yes. That's like the last place I'll be wanting to go when I'm here,
You're like, nah,
which
I'm
is
good. I've
crazy.
had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's like I
so
gotta
Lee
do
Lee Groves is our guest tonight. He's gonna come on a little bit later. He's like, good evening,
Yeah.
ladies. I'm just hanging out in the
smartest
ring
man
with you.
Yeah.
alive, I swear to God.
Starts with Diet Pepsi, just the way I like it. We knew you would like it. We made sure you had your Diet Pepsi. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna get this show started. There's been a lot of stuff going on. And like I said before, when I was out of town, I was getting most of my news from Twitter. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, it hasn't changed. Like I'm still getting my news from Twitter. Like whatever, it
Yeah.
just it is what it is, you know. Um, but we all saw Manny's fight last weekend. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so great fight. Props to Ugas. We saw some things that a lot of people didn't like. Manny was talking about his leg cramping and kind of discounting Ugas, that he would have been his easiest fight ever. And I'm just wondering what y'all thought, what y'all's thoughts are. Nika, what do you think about that? About it? Did he discount Ugas by saying the leg cramps, or was it real?
Um. Well, I think Manny has been very humble for a long time. But he's a fighter, so he's probably in his feelings that he lost this fight and the way that he did. So I don't know if his legs were cramping. I'm not buying that. But I think he probably lost a step or two. You know, age, you can't really fight that. But I do think him saying that is trying to discredit Ugas. But I felt like Ugas fought a good fight. You know, and he was already preparing for a fight that night. People are saying,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he had
Mm-hmm.
10, 11 days to
He's been in
and
the gym.
short notice, but he was on that card already, so he was
Right.
already in fighting shape. So
He
you know,
was the alternate, the fill-in, in
yeah,
case.
so he was already prepared for that fight. So I think he just fought a good fight, and man, he just probably lost a step or two, but I'm not buying the leg cramping and all that. Just take your L, Manny. You've given us many years of great fights and great wins, so kind of don't discredit this win by Ugas. So
And,
I'm not
and
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
really
go
feeling
around
it.
the I'm gonna go around the panel asking the same question, but this is the thing, is that people don't understand that when you have a main event and you have an undercard, I mean you have somebody on the undercard, usually it's the backup for what the main event's gonna be. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so if something
Hmm.
happens to the opponent in the main event, so they're gonna pull that guy, that's on the undercard. Maybe he's a co-main event or whatever. That's the same thing. you know, that they've done many times, Mungia and what's his name? They're fighting.
Help
Gabe
us.
Ricardo.
Oh
He
yeah.
was he was going to step up the night that Mungia fight in case something happened to the opponent. That's just how boxing works. So so yeah, Ugas was training. He was in the gym. Tracy, what do you think about Manny's comments, and was he discrediting Ugas, or what? What do you think about that?
You know, Manny's made little excuses before about, oh, it was this, or oh, it was that. I'm not a big fan of when fighters do that. It's like, just take the L and just let it be what it is, and
Agree.
not discredit you guys and take that win like almost away from him by saying, oh well, I had cramps, I wasn't up to perform. Like, I didn't see any answers. I didn't see Pac getting inside at all with the length of you guys. I didn't see it. So I don't know. I don't like, maybe it is. Maybe he had cramps, whatever. I don't know. But still, I'm not a fan of that. Like, no.
Great.
Mm-mm.
No, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I put that well?
Esmeralda, what do you think? I mean, what were your thoughts when you saw the comments from Manny?
So before the comments, well, during the comments, I guess, I saw when Ugas approached Manny. He went over there and like try to hug him, whatever it is, shake hands or something. Manny Pacquiao was already being interviewed, and he's just like, and I thought that was rude. I thought that was already poor sportsmanship. So by the time he was talking about, the cramps and all these things, I was like, oh, he's completely sore about the decision or about his performance, whatever it is. But I did think he just, he acted like it wasn't a great fight with Ugas, or like he wasn't a worthy opponent. But I think Pacquiao he had 11 days at least to know that who he was going to fight, and watch videos and see like, okay, he can fight me from the outside, so I've got to do this. Like, I think he could have prepared maybe a little bit more, even though he was preparing for Spence, but he could have prepared better to fight Ugas once he knew who his opponent was.
And that was one of the excuses too. He was preparing for a southpaw, but come on, Freddie Roach is a professional. Are you kidding me? Like,
and
yeah,
you're ready for these things. You immediately get back on the stick and start preparing for whoever's going to be in front of you.
There's no excuses.
There's not. There's definitely, no excuses at all, and the thing is, and my thoughts were this: I love Manny. Like, he was one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites. He is going to go down in history as one of the greatest. He's always fought whoever was in front of him. He didn't work his angles. So I thought, maybe he did have leg cramps, but he's also older, and he knew he was going to be older. We knew he was going to be older, and he still wants to fight. So even though he thought that Ugas was the lesser opposition in his career, which is something else that he said, okay, maybe he was 10, he would have been, 5, 7, 10 years ago, whatever. But that night, he was the better man. I mean, his jab was connecting all night long. Manny could not move. He couldn't work his angles that he usually does. So I thought, man, come on, Manny. Just give him credit.
right.
The guy won fair and square. If he wants to be unified, which is what Ugas is saying, he's going to have to fight Errol Spence and Crawford because they have the other belts. Is Crawford coming back? What do y'all say? Is Crawford coming back? What do you think about that, Esmeralda? Do you think that I'm sorry. Do you think that Errol is coming back?
I was like, wait, what?
My bad. You're like, is this a trick question? Do you know something I don't know? My bad, bud.
I was like, sorry. I don't know anything about boxing.
Is TJ Errol Spence coming back?
I think he's going to try, and there's a chance that he might, but it's it's going to be bad all around for him, because I really don't think he wants to retire from the sport yet. And I think he has to prove it to himself, and he wants to prove it to people. So I think, although everyone's going to tell him not to, I think he might want to come back just for at least one, or to defend the title, whatever it is. It's not a good idea, and he shouldn't, but I think he doesn't want to go out like that.
Nika, what do you say? Do you think Errol's going to come back?
Yeah, I think he's gonna come back because he wants to prove it, like Esmeralda said, to himself and to all the doubters as well. But I think that he should wait a year, because I think it's like there's like they said it's like 6 months to a year that injury needs to heal, and I don't think he's gonna wait a year. So I just don't want him to come back too soon and then do permanent damage, to himself. But he's definitely gonna come back. He's definitely gonna come back. There's no denying.
Even throughout that time, it's not good for him to spar. So it's not like he can be, in fight shape. He'll be in condition. He'll have stamina, all that stuff, but he won't be in fight shape because he still can't spar.
He can't get hit. Yeah.
You can't tell someone like, "Hey, just don't hit me in the face or don't hit me right here because I'm recovering."
Not so much here or here.
Say that.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna take like a good year for like a full recovery to be in fight shape, to come back to a fight against real contenders, like real fighters that are gonna be hitting him in the face, so
they're gonna answer right for it.
Bullseye.
Yeah.
That's
definitely going to be a target. It's going to be a target.
Absolutely.
That's a
Tracy,
bullseye target.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming back, Tracy. What do you think?
Errol, are you coming back? Are you coming back, Errol?
Is he talking to you?
He said, uh-huh. He said, no, I'm kidding. Obviously. I think that if he's 100% healthy, definitely come back. Definitely. I pray that he will get to the point where he's 100% healthy, vision-wise and everything, that everything is able to, get taken care of and healed and fixed and everything. I definitely think that he will be back, though, if he's all healthy and great. Hell yeah, he'll come back. Hell yeah. There.
Okay, so we all answered the question, will he come back? And my next question for y'all.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah,
what do you?
Should he? Esmeralda said no, and he's going to be his eye's going to be a target. Let me tell you something. If
he can lose that eye.
If I know that the person that's on the other side of the ring with my guy has whatever injury, guess what I'm going to tell my guy?
You got a target, hit it.
Absolutely.
Throw in the towel too.
Absolutely. And so that's the thing. I mean, should he come back? Will he? You know what? He's a warrior. He's a fighter. That's what they do. But it takes the people around them to say, look, man, I don't know. I want you to live. I want you to be able to see your kids. I want you to be able to ride your horses. I want you to be able to live another day.
Yeah.
But those are the good people. Because then there's the people who want to make money, and there's the people that are like the yes men. They're like, oh yeah, let's do this. You're going to get this much. There's whatever endorsements. That's like, there's the people who are still going to want that he maybe financially supports or, provides for work, that are going to be like, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And the thing is, think about his coach. Okay. So his coach has him, and he has the littler Charlo. And then he's got some other guys that I know, and I love them. They haven't been doing too good. So what is his coach going through right now?
I
mean, he's the cash cow. He's the man.
Yeah. So is he gonna be the right person to tell him yes or no? Because it's like you said, it's like the cash cow. So a good coach has to make those kind of decisions of whether
hard decisions.
Yeah.
Is it about you or is it about your fighter?
Or it's about it's definitely about the fighter. So
you would
but they don't always go that way. That's the way it should be, but they don't always go that way.
I have always told boxers, if your coach doesn't love you like their own child, you
Bye
might be
bye.
in trouble. You might
Yeah.
be in trouble. And I mean
Yeah.
that. Like that's straight up.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Okay, so who's supposed to be reading my YouTube comments?
Naked.
I am
Because
too.
we have many.
No, the YouTube. So Julius Streeter says that Corey Spinks said the same thing when he lost to K9, that he didn't
Mhm.
have legs. K9 is a simple fight. Fighters don't like to admit when it's over.
Right.
I
And
agree with
I
that.
agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
He also said the torn retina is only 9-month injury. It's not detached. But there's so many reports.
But
One of
then
the
they
reports
said it
said it
was
was detached.
detached.
That it was
Then
Hmm.
they
detached.
said
Yeah.
yes.
So
The first
it's gonna
reports
be
were
about a
torn.
year.
The
Yeah.
Either
second
way,
one was
he
detached.
needs a long
Yeah.
And I
recovery.
know boxers that have had the detached that have had to retire. I personally know them, that were on a great path to a great career, but the people around them said, "No, you got to stop." And they listened, and I know it was heartbreaking, but they did something else. But your health has to be more than that bag.
Absolutely.
Worth more, my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And Errol's got kids, and so
I mean, there's
Mhm.
been so many deaths in the ring or after a fight in
Yeah.
the last 2 years, like right before COVID started
Mhm.
until this day.
Right.
There's been
mm-hmm.
deaths due to
Mhm.
that. Like he just, he doesn't want to be another example or what, not to do.
Right, and breaking your orbital and anything around the eye, that's so close to your brain. It's like
Yeah.
why risk it?
Yeah.
But you know what? I pray to God that whatever happens, that it's for his benefit, health
But
wise.
these fighters, it's hard for them to hang it up. I mean, look at all the fights that we're getting from all the fighters that have been retired, like
Exhibitions.
in the
Right.
exhibition fights. They can't
Yeah.
hang it up. So you
Right.
telling
Right.
me this
No, it's
young
in you.
guy, yeah, it's
It
in you. Like
is.
he's not gonna quit now.
I just said
He's
that
still gonna
today to,
try
to my
again.
fighter. I was like, once you get bitten by the bug, you're stuck. You're there. It's like you can't get out. But the thing is, there's other facets of boxing. There's other things you can do. He has his man down promotions. I'm sure he's a great teacher. He can be a cook. It's not the same. It's not the same high or whatever. I mean, Esmeralda, she's a prime example. She a boxer, now a photographer. That's her. But shooting boxers. You know, I mean, so you tell us, Esmeralda, how hard was it to walk away and decide to do something else? But I mean, you had to stay in boxing. How was that?
I mean, my reasons for staying away is, it was over 20 years ago, and it was just one of those things where women weren't that around. So a lot of my training was with the guys, and
Mm-hmm.
my body took a lot from that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the sport. And my husband always says in the mobster voice, just when you think you're done, it pulls you back in.
It's true.
It
It's true.
does.
It's true.
And there's been periods when my godfather passed away. I hated boxing for a few years. I didn't watch any boxing for maybe like 3-4 years. And it's one of those things that I have such a love-hate relationship. Like, it's in my life, it's away from my life. It pulls me back in. I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. And then I'm always waiting for it to just like punch me in the face because it's going to come at some point. And that's why people can't hang up the gloves. It's the hardest thing. Like, sparring
Yeah.
someone, fighting someone, knowing what you can do is like one of the greatest feelings. If I could spar today, if I was in shape, I would totally try to.
It is.
I
It
want to
is.
go
It is a
pro.
high. I never competed, but I've sparred many times and trained, and it is like this euphoria. It's very
Personally,
satisfying. And it
The
sounds so
adrenaline,
weird,
I'm
but
sure.
it is. And for me personally, I haven't talked about it too much, but being a child that has been abused in one way or another, and you have this pain that you carry, and then you
Yes,
get
yeah.
in the ring, and there's the pain that you can put somewhere else. It's very satisfying, and it sounds very weird. I would
No, it
never.
doesn't. That
I would.
makes sense actually.
Yeah, I would never promote, some kids, poor things, they'll cut or they'll do other things because they have to put the pain physically somewhere else. There are other avenues like boxing, children and women and children. So please, Don't do that. But I'm just saying, I get it. So children that have been emotionally or physically or sexually abused, this is such an outlet. And for those that have, they just love it. You know, some people just love it. But for me, you know, it was so satisfying, you know, getting punched and punching back, and it's
The
so,
punch it back. You know, and for
yeah.
me, it was my first love. I mean, the first fight remember was Oscar De La Hoya and Julio Cesar Chavez. And since that moment when Chavez lost, I cried and I just fell so
Mm-hmm.
deep in love with the sport. And it was the first love I knew, and it was still my love. So it's just one of those things. It's the hardest thing to let go of something that's just been
It
such a
is.
huge part of your life and your growth
Absolutely.
also.
Absolutely.
I
I
want to read
totally,
one of those comments here
okay.
from Sontail Media.
Okay.
He
Oh
says,
yeah.
I think Derek James loves him like a son, not like just another fighter or a bag.
I think he
Derek
does him
James has
too. Yeah,
income. Yeah, he says Derek James has income other than boxing.
he
They
does.
already delayed a bout versus Danny for him not looking good in the gym.
No,
And
I agree.
then
I do. Yeah.
Julius Streeter says that Ray Leonard, detached retina, took 2 years off, came back and beat Hagler. 30 years later, he still has sight. Yeah, but you know,
Nice.
everybody's not the
Thank you for
same.
that.
So every
You
case
know,
is different. So you know, we just don't need. He's the one that
yeah,
has to make that decision. You know.
yeah, I just want the best for him. You know, I really
Yeah.
do. And before we move on to the next subject, I just want to say, so there was a video that came out, and you know, Manny's wife was feeding him, and a lot of people had a lot to say,
Yeah, they
you
did.
know, and it was mostly negative. And then Raging Babe came out with a tweet, and she said, if you've never been close to a fighter, you don't really understand what they go through as far as the depression, the physical, the mental, the emotional, everything that goes along. And I have to agree with her. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why his wife put it out there. I heard that it was his wife that put it out. I don't know. What did y'all hear?
I didn't hear anything.
She was feeding him, and I don't know who was recording it. I don't really think that video should have came out. I don't know why they were recording that. I feel like that was not necessary.
Yeah, I feel
But
Right.
like, I don't think it was
personal.
nothing bad because that's what happens. She's his wife. She's gonna take care of him, and I don't think he was that hurt where he couldn't feed himself. I just feel like that's kind of like their culture. She's taking care of her man, and she don't want him to
Yeah.
do nothing. I'll feed your baby. You know, I'm taking care
Right.
of you. But I feel like them recording it and putting it out was kind of like a mistake. I don't know
Well, did you
what was
read
the
the whole
purpose of that.
caption?
No,
No, I don't
no,
remember the
because you know I
caption.
just skim through and just make my own assumption.
Yeah.
I had to read the
Yeah.
caption because I wanted to understand, you know, and I think as women, partners, whatever, you
Yes,
support, you know, your significant other at every single,
absolutely,
especially through their ups and downs, and good for her. I agree with Nick that it should have
absolutely.
came out, but her caption was mostly like she was kind of praising herself, like this is what you do, this is what a marriage is, and I understand that, like a lot of us
I
know
get
that's
it.
what it is, but you don't have to show us, you know, and
I
I
got you.
think it hurt me more to see how down Manny was and
It
how
hurt me.
he
Yeah, it
he
hurt me
was
too.
just
See,
slumped over, like sad,
somebody in the
right.
comments is saying that
That's not the Manny I want to remember.
Right.
yeah, they said she put it out because she wants people to push for Manny to retire.
Okay, and
That's
I
what
can see that.
A-Rod 3083
Hmm.
box sales
I
said.
can
He said
see
she
that.
wants people to
I
push
want,
for Manny to retire. That's why she put it out.
and
Oh,
she's been
A-Rod.
doing
Okay.
Kind of
that
makes
for like
sense.
probably the last 5 years. So I get it. Like I totally get it. So people can comment and say, "That's it, champ. You're done." Official
Yeah.
LDBC rep said Christine seems like the type to back her man up in a fight.
In a fight.
Yeah, my poor man. He's so sweet. He won't. And I'm like, wait, they said what to you? No, wait, what? No, hell no. You know, so yes,
I'm the
it's very
same
true.
way.
And
It's Catholic
I would
school.
feed him too. Just saying, you know. Absolutely. So yes. No, I agree because you know she has wanted him to retire for a very long time. she's tired of it. And he's like, one more.
One more,
It's
more. Yeah.
it's
It's
hard to
always
let
one
go.
more. Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
one more.
But again,
It's always one more.
boxing is his first love, and she comes second. So
Right.
Yep.
if Manny doesn't feel like he's going to retire, he wants to retire, he won't, because
Right.
she's been begging him for years.
And
But
you know what? I don't think he
Oh.
wants to go out like that neither. So
No, absolutely. So
so
that's
I
why
don't think that's gonna. Yeah, that's not gonna
it's
be
like
his last
that's why
fight. He
it's
doesn't want to go
time.
out like
It's
that.
time. You don't want to go out like that, but it just there comes a time when you just gotta let it go. But you know, it's true. It's like a lot of people don't know what goes on in the locker room after a loss or the weeks after. And you know what? The public is very cruel. It's like when you lose and you lose again or whatever, not speaking of him, but it's like, where do your fans go? You know, it's like they're done with you. They move on to the next new toy, you know. Like a kid, they unwrap it and they're ready for that one, and the old one goes to Goodwill, you know, or Salvation Army.
But
And it's
see,
not
like
right.
if he tries to fight again to get a win to retire, then is he really gonna retire and be like, damn, I love the way this feels to win again. I just let me do
Right.
one more, let me get one more win. You know,
Exactly.
Right. Right.
it's
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
it's never ending. So
But I mean, he's built such a like he's a legend. He's built a fan base from the '90s up until now. Like it's
yeah,
just insane. Like he's got all ages. He's got so many people that root for him. I think if not majority, but all of Mexico was on his side for this fight. Like he
Oh
had so
yeah,
many
yeah.
Mexicans on his side. And it was like that's a beautiful thing.
Just
And
like
he's
Triple
done
G.
so much.
Mexico loves Triple G. You know, over
Exactly.
Canelo.
Yeah.
You know, it's so true.
I thought Triple G was older. Isn't he like only 30
Yeah,
or something like that?
he's like 33, maybe something. He's young. He's a young guy.
I thought
He's a lot.
his birthday is the day before mine. Just want to
Okay,
point that out.
people dog Triple G, but I love Triple G. I'm just saying that's it is what it is.
You can't
I
help
do.
it. He's a good fighter. You can't help that. The
He's
Roly
a
era,
freaking
somebody said.
warrior. Oh
Ah,
my gosh.
yeah.
Wait,
So
the
26
Rolly-
Sports says he's 38. Oh, snap. Okay, well, I'm really impressed.
Okay,
now,
never
Ed.
mind.
I thought he was old. He looks like it.
Oh, so look, Esmeralda. What do you
What?
say? Mexico is all messed up. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I think the hardest
What the hell?
fans come from Mexico.
Yeah.
Like if you ever go to a Mexico fight, if the crowd is booing, the decision will be changed there. If the crowd is not
Right.
satisfied, the decision will make them satisfied because majority of fans here that go to fights, they're either they have been involved in boxing, they've been watching boxing for a long time, and it's like they're probably better than the judges, most judges.
Absolutely.
But it's so crazy. If you cannot get the crowd here on your side, then you don't have much of a boxing career.
You better sneak out the back door. Seriously, too.
Yeah.
That too.
You know, analyze
She
your
gonna
life.
make the Canelo fans with the GG talk. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. D Styles.
So we're all in
D
consensus
Styles has
that
a question. Who wants to read D Styles'
okay.
question?
What? Oh,
question for panel. What were you doing in 1999 when Manny Pacquiao won his first world title?
1999.
I was
Ooh.
planning my
I was graduating high school.
oh shit! I am
Okay.
graduating
Ready
high
for
school.
Tracy and I's answer. Tracy,
Here we
you're
go. In 1999, I had a 1-year-old, and I was living. Yeah, I had a 1-year-old, and that was my life. But yeah.
Okay, well,
Mhm.
I was a single mother. I had just had my 8th child, and I was working 2 or 3 jobs, so I didn't have time to
Ooh,
watch.
Michaela would
first-
not agree with that.
I know, right?
Right? Right? How
Right.
dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
Anyway, they today they're very successful, very well taken care of, and everybody's good. Have some college
Exactly.
graduates, business owners, great parents. Everybody's good.
Yeah.
But so I didn't even have time for that, even though have been in love with boxing since the age of 6.
I
you
feel like,
know.
yeah, I feel like
It-
D-Style
it-
just wanted to let everyone know how old we are.
I think D-Style just wanted everyone to know that he watched that fight in 1999. So he's the true fan. I don't know how old he was. He's probably 5, but you know, whatever. Yeah, it's all good.
Oh my God.
So look, let's move on. What is going on with the Bud Porter purse bid? What is going on, guys? Does anybody know?
I think it's supposed to be for September 2nd, but I always feel that that was the case, that they were gonna always take it to purse bid, because that's the only way that uh Porter was gonna get the probably the amount that he thought that he should get for the fight, because Top Rank wasn't gonna give him what he was asking for. So I
Right.
think behind the scenes, I feel like behind the scenes, Bud and him already had in their mind that they wanted it to go to a purse bid, because it'd be like a 60-40 split, I believe. So
Yes. And they're going to do it
so
live
yeah, like it's gonna
on
be
Facebook, I think.
that'll be
Oh,
interesting.
well, look, Jesus says nobody cares about the purse. They do. We
Yeah.
may not
Yeah,
care. We
they
just
want
wanna
to
see
be
the fight,
they want
but they
they need the
care.
money,
Damn.
Exactly.
because they
D-Style was a
weren't,
freshman.
because this is the second go round that they came to the table for a fight. The first time
Yes.
they weren't offering Porter what he wanted for the fight, or not even close to it. So this time I think it should have went to purse bid, so they can both get what they're due.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Aram is just fucked over.
But
So
this is his
long.
last fight with him, so
Yeah,
hopefully.
Right,
That's why,
right,
yeah,
right.
that's why Aram isn't doing shit about it. It's just
And he'll
ridiculous.
find a way
Yeah,
to
I mean the contract's about to be up, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
let
So-
me tell you something. Unless I'm on the other side of the world, I will be at that fight. Bud's fight, Jamel's fight,
Yeah.
Canelo's fight.
Yeah,
I'm planning on it. I'm planning on it. So what is G Funky talking about?
They're having a little interaction between.
About-
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're doing they're having some arguments in here about LGBT rep and Wilder excuses.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to touch
So-
that one. I've been
so they
good for
want
like
us to,
2 weeks.
like,
I don't want to jump into that.
In 1999, I was partying like it was 1999. Says Haplo. Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Oh, but you see, look,
I think we
26
all
sports,
were.
26
I
sports. My
still
guy Mike,
was.
he says that if it
I
goes
was-
to purse bid, he will still owe Top Rank a fight. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
Really?
either. Let me check my
Well, then-
sources.
I was
Yeah.
pressed-
Check my sources. Because I did not know that. I didn't hear about that. I wasn't
Neither-
told that behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's the
But I
first time I've heard that.
definitely-
So,
I definitely want to know about that.
where are your sources? Where you get your sources from, Mike?
Yeah,
Because
Mike.
that's the first time I've heard that.
Me too. I haven't heard that.
Tell us who your sources are.
Exactly. So, okay, so in that fight,
Yes. Okay, I get it.
How does it go?
Bud
How
wins.
does it go?
Bud.
Bud wins.
Bud,
And I hope it's by-
I think we're all in agreement that Bud wins. Okay, so
Oh yeah.
But
Is
in
it
the what
going to
fashion?
okay, is it gonna go all the rounds, or is there gonna be a TKO or a KO? Let's go
I
around the
think
panel.
it's gonna go all the rounds, because Porter is a dog in there. You know, even if he gets knocked down, he'll get back up. You know, and he'll keep going. I don't think he'll give up. He's definitely a dog in there. So it'll be a really good fight, but I don't think he would get knocked out. I mean, maybe he does. I just feel like Porter is like, he's just like a dog in there. He's very hard to just put out. If he
Yeah,
gets
he
knocked
is.
down, which I think he will get knocked down, but I
He
think
got a
he will
hard
get back
head.
up, and yeah, I think he'll get back up and keep going. So I believe it'll go all rounds, but definitely win. So
Yeah, for sure.
Tracy,
For sure.
what do you think, Tracy?
I think so too. I think Crawford has been out for so long that he's pissed, and
Okay.
and he
I was
and
like-
he oh and he's
I was like,
like
wait.
he's
He
like
could have been, but still, he's still working. Oh, sure. Okay,
He's
but
like-
I got you. You said something. Okay, he's pissed. Okay, I got
yeah,
you.
like he's he's gonna make a point. He's gonna make a statement. And I mean, Sean Porter is like a beast, though, so it's gonna be really good. But I think that Crawford's gonna just get in there and be able to handle him.
Okay. All
So
right.
I got
What
Crawford.
you think, girl?
I think Crawford for sure. I think it would be a decision fight. I was sitting here thinking when Aka said, like how Porter gets knocked down, he gets up again. And I was sitting here thinking, would you rather see like a TKO, a KO, or would you like to see it go all rounds? Because it will be a great fight.
Mm-hmm.
But which
I want
one?
to see him knock it
TKO?
off. I want to see him knock him out, but I just feel like he's just a beast in there that
Mhm.
he's not gonna
Yeah.
go out like that.
I want to see him get his ass kicked on the.
I
I
agree.
want him to.
Yeah, I'd love to see
I used to tell fighters all the time, make him kiss the canvas.
Because he got knocked down when he fought Adrian Broner, but he
Yeah.
got back up and he won. He was already winning that fight, but he did get knocked down in that fight and he got up and kept going. So
I know
Yeah,
you're-
you know, the thing about Porter too is, I mean, the guy leads with his head. He's a head
Yeah.
cutter.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bud's got to watch out for that big head, because he leads with his head. He does. He leads with his head. You know,
Bud-
and he's gonna have to stay away from that head.
Wasn't he like extremely disappointed that Manny Pacquiao didn't win the fight?
That's right. You guys did drop
He
Porter
did.
also.
Right.
And he was just highly disappointed that that Manny Pacquiao didn't win. But
Oh God.
I said, not trying to make anyone feel old. LOL. Just
No,
perspective.
we
How
didn't
long
think
it was
that.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know, because that child that I
Mhm.
had just had, he's 22, about to be 22. So yeah, we got you. We
Yeah.
got you.
My child.
L-Dub said,
that I-
Esmeralda, hot photographer, absolutely, boxing photographer. That's what she does. Y'all need her.
You gotta
Drop
say
her
the
new
name
box.
of the whole name like that. I love the way you say it, Esmeralda, like fotógrafa de la gente. say it one time.
Let's just say it for the crowd.
Fotógrafa de la gente. I'm for the people. I'm
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and she is absolutely.
I don't like shooting if you're completely famous. I like to shoot all the underdogs, all the people that people
Mhm.
don't see, that are up and coming,
Yeah.
their debuts, the amateurs, because that's the future.
Absolutely.
And they appreciate it.
They do.
You know, the guys that are already on top, I mean, they're always getting their
They're used
pictures
to it.
taken. They don't appreciate it. And
They
then you
expect
see
it.
those young, smiling faces, and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to be somebody. And I have a photographer taking pictures of me. I'm really going to be somebody. No,
Mhm.
I love it.
Tell me they've made posters from my pictures, and I'm like, oh God. But because
You're
it
like,
was the
okay,
debut or something.
Wait, you're like, okay, but did you give me photo credit? Look, I want to talk about that really quickly, okay? Because I have two photographer friends, Esmeralda and Stacy, who used to be Stacy Verbeek, now Stacy Snyder, and they're both amazing women photographers. Give photo credit. My friend Stacy had just fought the Golden Boy. I mean, just shot the Golden Boy. Fought Golden
Like,
Boy.
damn,
She
Stacey's
can beat him up.
doing
She
a
can
lot.
She can beat him up. She can beat up De La Hoya. But anyway, she just shot for them, and then a lot of the fighters, they like cut her name out. I'm like, do not do that. First of all, you can get sued. Second of all, you want credit for what you do. Give these ladies credit. Don't cut their name out. Put their name out there. I don't like that.
I feel
Oh no, hell no.
most cut out the name because either you're not a photographer like shooting like Mikey Williams, shooting for Top Rank, or you're not a photographer that's whatever. But either way, someone can have captured that moment or that great picture, and everyone just deserves credit. Like, you don't have to be a famous photographer or a well-known photographer to shoot a great picture. So
Right.
give the credits due, man or woman.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Definitely. So Lee Groves is going to be coming on in a few minutes, and we're super excited to have him on the
It's
show.
the smartest man alive.
You know what? I mean, he's a writer for The Ring, for ringtv.com. I did not know, my friend told me that he had a book that he wrote about his life or something, and I definitely have to get that.
I ordered it on Amazon.
He's punch counter for compubox. And I'm excited. I'm excited to have him. Like, I really am. I mean, he's got a lot of knowledge. Historian
He
being
has,
crazy.
yeah,
I'm
he's
so
like one of the
jealous.
best boxing historians. Like,
Exactly.
it's
And I
crazy.
mean, I wish that I had that knowledge, but I don't. I don't remember stuff. Like I forget
Oh
my
my
kids' name,
God.
you know, like
He
real
whips
talk.
that out because on Fridays there's a thing called the chat,
Mhm.
and I started going in there. Nika's in there too, and I started going in there, and I'm just like
Yeah, sometimes like,
listening to
cause
learn.
they're there. We're on there like all night, and sometimes I'll just like mute myself and then just listen. He just has all this boxing knowledge. Just like I'll just lay down
Yes.
and just listen to them talk. It's
I
really
don't know
good.
how to
Like,
get on those chats. Y'all gotta school me on that because I don't
Okay.
know.
I'll have Ernie send you a link. It's on
Okay.
Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern time, so it'll be 9 o'clock your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's every
Definitely.
Friday, just a bunch of boxing fans, and sometimes there'll be boxers that come on. Just,
Okay.
you know.
No, I like that though. I love it. And like I said, I wish that I could remember dates and times and fighters' names at this time, this
Yeah,
date, whatever. But I
you
can't.
can ask
Like I
him
said,
about a fight.
Go with 26 said. Come on.
yeah. No, I forget my kids' names, my grandkids. I'm like, you come here, come here,
I call my
come here.
kids my dog's name sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
like,
I do.
He probably
And
knows the
I
whatever.
weather.
joke
The
and I laugh.
weather.
Knowledge,
Like he probably know
the
the weather of
experience.
on that day that the fight was. Like that's how much knowledge he has about
Mm-hmm.
the boxing.
Man,
Yep.
that's amazing.
Can you imagine all the secrets he has that he's seen and he's been there to wait
Exactly.
for knows and he just can't tell anybody?
Well, see, and that's the
Yeah.
thing
Tell
I
us
love.
your secrets.
No, I love to. So this is why I love going to fights. I love going to the fight hotels. I love like interacting because even though we do this, we'll do the media, we'll do our show and everything. Things that are said, in the bar, in the restaurant, you don't repeat them. And that's why it's like,
In the
yeah,
gym.
you could say this and that, but you don't. I mean, you still want to be trusted, and we are. But to
Speaking
hear
of
those
bars.
stories, yeah. Speaking of bars,
Speaking of bars.
but no, it's a beautiful thing to be able. That's why I love going to these fights and getting to know these boxers and their people and them getting to know me.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. It really is.
I
But
miss it.
so
I miss it big time.
yeah, well let's get back on the train, girl. Let's go. There's a bunch of fights coming up.
Texas.
Let's go.
I'm trying to get this open with nail clippers, just so you guys know. I thought you guys should know. It's a popsicle margarita, and I can't get the damn top off, and my son won't come in here with scissors, so I'm like doing it with nail clippers. So there, I'm
Nail
done. Okay.
clippers work.
Gold nail clippers.
Yeah.
So G
Everything's
Funky
black and gold.
said when the pandemic is over, he's going to a lot of fights. You know what, G Funky? I don't think it's gonna be over anytime soon. You know,
Mhm.
Do I?
I really
Nah,
don't.
people
It's
don't.
like
No.
and I don't like down you for your choice. Like you've got your family and everything and whatever. It's like I have to live my life. It's like I'm going to these fights. I don't want to miss out. I've had COVID. I've been vaccinated. Not that helped. Some people have
Yeah.
still been vaccinated and still, but I gotta do me. But I respect you for what you're saying, and for your sake, I hope it is over soon. For everybody's sake, I really do.
Yeah.
During
So
COVID, I think we saw about, from what we counted, about 430 fights that year. Because here in Mexico, they have 15 to 19 fights on an undercard, on a card. So
oh my
we saw
gosh.
the pro fights plus the amateurs, we saw about 430.
Oh
And
my god.
Wow.
now that was
That's
during,
crazy.
now it's just calmed down so much more.
Really?
Oh, we were
That
watching
is
a fight
crazy.
in the chat on Friday in
Tijuana?
Tijuana. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tijuana
Portero
is
fight.
Yeah,
lit.
we
From
watched.
Argentina.
Yeah. Yeah. We watched
Yeah,
it.
Tijuana's
on-
lit. They always have something going on.
It's
So
crazy.
Esmeralda, you had mentioned the Serrano Mercado fight. So Serrano, Puerto Rico, Mercado, Mexico. Let's talk about this fight.
I'm
What
so
say you
excited.
about this fight?
I'm so excited. I really like Amanda Serrano. Like I told you, ladies, my first Puerto Rican fighter of all time is Miguel Cotto, and my second is really,
Sorry, I drooled a little.
I think she's amazing, but she's fighting what is it, Yamilet Mercado, and I think Mercado just needs to get her ass. I think she just needs to get a hard lesson on in the ring, and I think Amanda Serrano is that girl that's gonna give it to her. So it's gonna be a good fight, really good fight.
Yeah.
And you know, this is the thing. This is a prime example. So there's a lot of fans out there, and I'm not going to down them. I'm just going to say there's a lot of fans that will only support their own people, right? So we're Mexican Americans, and Mercado's from Mexico. My husband's from Mexico, but Serrano's my girl, Puerto Rico. You know, so it's not about, to me, true boxing heads, it's not about where you come from, it's your skill set, what you've done, how you've changed the game. What do y'all think about that? Tracy, what do you think about that?
I got distracted in the chat. I think can you ask that question again? I'm so sorry.
No, I was just going to say that there's a lot of people in boxing that will only support their own. You know, and so Mercado, she's good. Yes, she is. Absolutely, she's good. And she's from Mexico. Esmeralda and I, Mexican Americans. My husband's from Mexico.
I was born.
Okay, she's Mexican, 100%. Thanks for clearing that up. No, and I'm Mexican American, but I'm totally 100% Serrano, because we totally can appreciate boxing and people's skill set. What do you say about people that will only support their own just because where they come from, their race, their religion, whatever? What do you say about that?
I mean, first of all, I am not Latino at all. I am Italian. Just to clear that up in the group here.
We're wondering.
So I support any fighter, you know, like, but in this case, like I'm supporting the Serrano because I'm a fan of hers, and that's why I'm like, you know, go Serrano, like, you know, Puerto Rico. She's from that beautiful island. Like Haplo knows, we were singing a show tune the other day. I think that, you know, you should really go for whoever you want. I really don't think that it's so hard to say. It's so hard to say. I mean, I've been fighting with people. People are like, you know, this, that, and the other. You know, Latino, the black. You know, it's just like, come on, just support fighters in general. If you have a specific fighter, that's great, but don't like take it so far to the extreme where you would like on social media go to the point of like fighting with other people, calling names because this is your fighter and, you know, he's from, you know, Mexico and blah, 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 blah. So I just, there's some,
just be a boxing fan.
Yeah, just be a boxing fan in general. And if that's who you prefer, that's who you prefer. But it's, again, I can't tell people what to do. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want to do anyway. And they're going to talk shit anyway. And it's going to be like, you know, do I want to get out there and say, you know what? Love everybody, but no one listens to me. So
official LDBC rep said, I didn't mean to distract you, Tracy. Yeah, stop distracting her. We're trying to have a conversation. D-Style said, press the like button. Please do. Absolutely.
Hit it.
Nika, what do you think? I mean, do we need to just only support our own, or do we support boxing, period?
I think that's stupid, to be honest. Just support your own. You could, to each their own. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I don't knock anybody.
Right, I won't knock you if you do that. But
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you know,
that's what I mean.
Skill is skill, no matter where they're from. Like, I just think it's stupid. I was born in Puerto Rico, so I love all fighters. Though it's like. Doesn't matter where they're from. I don't care. Like, I love Canelo. He's Mexican. Sometimes, you know, every time he's on, I'll be like, "Viva Mexico!" You know, like you can't tell me I'm not Mexican that day. It's like, So I don't really. I'm not really like you only have to root for your people. I think that's
And there's
really
people like that, and it's
stupid.
crazy. I don't get it.
No, there are. Trust me.
Well,
I know.
My
know some.
situation is, if you're from Tijuana, I'm gonna support everybody because I'm from here. I'm from Tijuana, and boxing's huge down here, you know. But also, if you're from my gym, or if I've seen you train and I've seen your training camp, and you know,
Right.
mine and my
You can't-
husband's, and we support you, whether you win or lose, you're fighting whoever it is. I'm always gonna support you because that's my loyalty to you. You know, I don't know
Sure,
just
I
know
can
you
see
as a
that.
fighter, but I know you as a friend or a person. And to me, that's really what it can be anybody, but that's where most of my loyalty is gonna go to. And then of course, like yeah, some people will be like, well, why aren't you going for Mercado? I mean, I voted in some situations, and they were like, you are, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going for Amanda. Like, yeah, like I think she's just gonna make big things in women's boxing, and she already has. And I think,
Yeah.
and that's what I like about her
Yeah.
is, you know, she just kicks ass.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
and then you know, and then still talking about this fight. So Clarissa Shields, self-proclaimed GOAT. Okay. But let's look at statistics. And I'm not saying that she's not amazing because she is. Like, I mean, I've seen her all through the amateurs. I remember she was in the JOs. I saw her come up. Actually, when I went to, I told you I drove to Ohio. She was at the JOs there and she was whooping
Oh.
everybody's ass. And, you know, so, I mean, she's amazing. But let's talk about Amanda. Okay. So I had to like write this down because it's so much stuff. So it's like she's currently WBO, WBC, and IBO champ. She's only female to win world titles in over 4 different weight classes. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records. She has 9 titles in 7 different weight classes: 112, 115, 118, 122, 126, 130, 135. She's 42-1 with 38 KOs, and she's done MMA.
Yeah.
Who's the GOAT? Who is the GOAT? Just saying. Just saying.
You make a good case.
That's
You know?
a good, yeah.
I mean,
but
You make a good case.
her and Serrano and Shields are good friends. Like they are.
No, they are. But
Yeah.
Serrano, we all know, is humble.
Yes, very humble. Yes, for
Toronto
sure.
loves the fight in every single sport, though.
Absolutely.
She loves the competition.
Mhm. You can see it.
And
Yeah.
they can be friends, and that's wonderful. Because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
women in boxing need to be friends because we have so much against us. In every
Absolutely.
facet that we do in boxing, we should be friends. Tiara
Every
and Serrano
facet.
or
Tell me
our
about
friend,
it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
I
But
think-
my point is the GOAT. Who is crowned the GOAT? The legit GOAT. Let's look at statistics. That's my point.
Yeah, I got you.
But you got to remember, there's casuals who don't really look into that. There's
But
casuals
I don't think that she would ever
Toronto.
say that about herself.
Because she's not that way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So people have to say that for her.
Yeah.
The
My
reason
mom always said, "Don't brag about yourself. Let others brag about you," and it's true.
Yeah, I think that just to say one thing about Clarissa Shields, I think that she calls herself that and pushes herself and motivates herself on social media and everything, because I really think that she's the only one besides her husband or soon to be husband who's supporting her, like backing her up, like lifting her up. Like she, if she doesn't have someone saying you're great and you're going to do this and everything like that, then the only other person you have is yourself. And that's what I see coming from her it's like she's pushing herself up because she's the only one who's going to do it. That's just my opinion.
And I'm totally about self-promoting because honestly, if you don't do it, who will? Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
I'm sure that I nauseate people with posts and pictures and this and that, but I don't care because I'm going to promote myself.
Yeah.
And we should.
I think if she didn't say that, if she wasn't like that with herself, nobody would know who she is because they don't push her out there or promote her that way. So
exactly.
She's that's kind of herself, like that's her kind of her form of self promotion to me. I really feel that's why a lot of people do know her because she says that she's the GOAT. Other than that, you
Mhm.
don't see anybody else promoting her well or doing, pushing
Right.
her women's boxing.
And
Women's
Which is
boxing
why
is
I
not
said,
really. I don't really think
yeah,
it's where it needs to
And you
be.
train your fans. You tell them you're the GOAT, and
There's
they're
so
gonna
many
follow.
female boxers that
and
don't get no
they
shine.
Mhm.
do. And
Crazy.
so here lies my point. You have people arguing on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and everywhere else. All they do is see the post. They don't actually do the research. They don't actually watch the fights. They don't
Exactly.
actually see what's really going
Mm.
on. So they accept whatever's pushed out to them. And that's my point. That
Mm.
how
I mean,
true are these fans?
it's
Are they
easy
doing
to
the
go on
research?
Box Rec, but they don't because they might not know of that
No.
outlet.
yeah,
No, a lot of people don't know about Box Rec.
No.
A lot of people, when somebody says they're going to fight, they don't really watch the fight. They see what the comments are and what's going on, and they just roll with it. So we have a lot of sheep, is my point.
Mhm.
yeah,
Because if
yeah.
we really had to break it down and boxing people had to come together and vote on the GOAT, who would be the GOAT? That's
True.
my point.
Yeah, yeah.
Pompeo Media said, Christy
That I
Martin
get.
vote, and I mean, Christy Martin's just
Oh, Christy Martin, that
no
girl.
words to even express exactly
Hail
nothing but
to the
praise.
queen.
Yeah,
Hail
yeah,
to the
yeah.
queen.
I'm
Mhm.
just glad I was able to see her fight.
Are we supposed to
Absolutely.
get Lee in here now? What time?
Yes.
What time are we supposed to get
At
Lee?
8:30. We messaged him and see.
Oh, it's
Lee,
Lee,
where
where you
are
at?
you? I'm singing you a song. Come on in here.
Where you at, Lee?
Where you at?
Where you at, Lee? Where you at?
Where you at, Mr. Wisdom? Mr. Wisdom.
Exactly.
You don't want me to
I
start
thought he
rapping,
I thought he
Lee.
was already in the backstage. That's why I said that. I wasn't sure if he was already
Well, I
backstage.
mean, he's in the green room drinking Pepsi, but I don't have access to.
He knew all of our time zones, and I was like, "Oh, did you look it up, or you just know?" And he said, "I was in TV traveling man, so I know all the time zones."
He's a
Shushan
traveling
Boxing,
man.
Franchon. Oh, I love Franchon Cruz Dezern and her husband. Yeah, yes, she does not get the publicity or the promotion that she needs.
No,
Like
nobody
I'm
knows
with you
who
on that.
she is neither. Like there's no promotion there.
Nothing.
There's
Yeah,
no promotion
exactly.
there whatsoever. Nobody knows
G Funky
who
said,
she is.
"Tell him, big
It's
sis."
crazy.
Yes. And then Jamel Herring says a lot of people don't know boxing. Period. You know what,
It's
Jamel,
true.
stay on because we're gonna get to you and Shakur's fight talk. So stay
Yep.
on. Stay on. We're waiting for Lee to get on, and then we're gonna go forward.
Get down on it. See, I'm telling you.
And then so Nepal said, "I thought BoxRec was a
Cardboard
recycling place."
recycling, please.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. All right.
Crazy though, because there's a lot of fighters, and I know who they are, but I will not say. There's so many fighters who are up and coming, and they say they're undefeated, but I've seen them lose in person because boxing will not post it. But I know who has losses, so
Yeah,
so not everybody's
absolutely.
undefeated.
Yeah,
very true.
I've always told fighters, you
Look what
are your
Jamel said.
best.
He's like, oh God, just stay on.
You mean like in amateur fights?
No, in professional fights from the last year.
I have seen that too.
There's
definitely
7 people, a mixture of females
Okay,
and men,
so
but I know a lot.
Lee says, ready when you are. Yes. So just follow the link and then I'm going to click you on because I don't see your precious face yet.
Oh,
So I
you
can't click on
ready?
you. So just
Yes,
follow that link.
Ready to fall
And
in
we'll help you. We will help
love. Come on, Lee, get down on it before you keep singing. Someone keep singing.
And Lee's our age, so he can like relate to the get down on it and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Disco. Smartest man alive enters the room and boom.
Lee, how
Here we
are
are.
you?
I'm doing well. How about you, ladies?
We are doing well. It's so good to
Doing
see
good.
you.
It's good to be seen.
Yes.
What's up, smartest man alive in boxing?
Oh, you flatter me.
So Lee, Jamel Herring says, get ready for Lee to rotate in his chair.
His chair.
What does he mean by that?
In the chat, in the chat on Fridays, he's in his recliner.
Yes.
Okay.
Jamal
Okay.
comes in there sometimes.
Gotcha.
I want to be a little more formal here, I guess. So,
You don't have to be, but
but I
thank
do
you.
have
He's not-
I do have a
he's not in
shirt
there,
on
Casey.
here. Eat, sleep,
Oh,
breathe, boxing.
nice.
That's me.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. So for
Yeah.
people that don't know who you are, you're a writer for The Ring
Yeah.
and ringtv.com. You
Right.
are also a you're a Lector Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been
And
voting since 2001.
I love that. And then
Yeah.
punch counter for compubox.
Yes.
Okay. So I know how you started. You tell everybody else how you started. And I just found out from a mutual friend. She used to be Stacy Verbeek. Now she's Stacy Schneider, photographer, that you have a book out that I must read. So I'm
Well, actually, I've written 2 books. The first book that I wrote was Tales from the Vault.
Okay.
Okay, so this was an extension of my Closet Classic series that I began writing on Max Boxing back in 2004. And once I got to about 85 fights, I said, you know what? Once I get to 100, this might be a pretty good book. So I ended up filling up the blanks in the 10 chapters that I had. And it's based on the kind of fight that it was. You know, I have a chapter on brawls and upsets and bizarre fights, heavyweight fights, lighter weight fights, just all sorts of different fights that can be undercard classics, stuff that you come into the arena at 4 o'clock and you see the best fight of the evening. I found 10 of those, and a lot of those didn't have punch counts accompanying them. So I ran the numbers using the compubox program, and for the first time, those numbers are presented. And the second book, and this is probably the one that Stacy was referencing, it's called Muhammad Ali by the Numbers.
Okay.
And I wrote this.
Yes, I can see that. Yes.
I wrote this with CompuBox president Bob Canobio.
Oh, wow.
And we went through all the available fights of Muhammad Ali on video, which was 47 of his 61, including 43 of his final 44. So we get a pretty good representation of his career. I bought like 200 back issues of Ring magazine so I could get all of the flavor. What were the writers saying about his various fights back then? What was the conventional wisdom? And I watched the videos. I did punch counts on them because CompuBox didn't exist back then. And I wrote the narrative. And Bob, Bob's contributions are, not only did he bankroll it, not only did he, give me the idea for it, but at the end of every fight that we profile, he has like inside the numbers, and he boils down the significance of each Ali fight statistically, and he would do it in about 100 to 300 words. So he has a talent for saying in 300 words where it takes me 5,000 to say the same thing. So
wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
But another thing that I'm doing right now is I'm also a panelist on a podcast called In This Corner, the podcast. James Smitty Smith, veteran broadcaster.
Yes.
Smitty. Yeah, Smitty's the host. And his co-host is Amber Renee Dixon, award-winning reporter for in Las Vegas. And I'm the historian. So the three of us get together. We have guests on the show. I think the upcoming show on Saturday, which is going to be on Fight TV.
Okay.
We have Tyron Woodley. We interview him, and we also recap the Pacquiao fight, and we talk about the fight and the Amanda Serrano fight, and it'll be uploaded on Saturday. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So how do we find it? Is it on YouTube, or how do we find that show?
You go on Fight.tv, www.fite.tv. And you go search for the program in this corner, and it's free to watch. So it's widely available, and from what I hear, it's been very well received. And Smitty does a really good job. So does Amber. Amber does the editing. She's brilliant at it. I'm very, very fortunate to be associated with them.
Well, three greats all together. I think that's the way it should be. That's fabulous. Well, and we were actually just talking.
I have a question for you, Lee.
Sure.
Go ahead, Nika. Sorry.
I have a question for Lee.
Yes.
So I know that you're a boxing historian and you love boxing. Well, what's the worst thing you hate about boxing? What do you hate about boxing?
The worst thing that I hate about
I've never
boxing.
heard you say anything bad about boxing. That's why I'm asking.
I hate bad decisions. I really do. I hate the bad decisions that deny the rightful winner his glory, his place in history, his legacy, and the financial rewards that his victory would bring him in the future. I hate when that happens. I also hate I don't know if it's hate, but more frustrated. As a boxing fan, when I began watching and following boxing in 1974, I was 9 years old. A single fight got me hooked on boxing. It was Roberto Duran, Esteban de Jesus, #2, March 16, 1974.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, first few years, I just focused on the fights and the fighters. And I learned about the history of the sport, and I read as many books as I could, and I committed them to memory. And I soon got to be the boxing encyclopedia, even as a teenager. But as the years have gone on, my frustration is that more boxing fans, especially today, are following the business of boxing just as much as they are the fights and the fighters. We're talking. A lot of people are excited that the WBO is streaming a purse bid live on Facebook, and people are excited about it because that is going to have a big effect as to whether the fight is going to take place at all or not. And if things go wrong, who knows? But that sort of goes into another thing that I'm frustrated by, and that's the fact that a lot of fights that are dream fights are relegated to dream fights because something gets in the way and the fight is not made when it needs to be made, when both are at their best, when timing is everything. And a few years ago, a term came up in boxing called marination. We want to marinate the fight. We want to build it up slowly so that when the time comes and we pull the trigger, everybody makes the most money possible. Well, we've seen so many times, and especially recently with the Fury Wilder 3, it's been postponed several times. Something always gets in the way. So I say strike when the iron is hot and let the chips fall where they may.
Agree. Let me ask you, do you remember I might be dreaming, but it just seems like when I was younger, the winner got the bigger purse. Do you remember those times?
Yeah. Who knew?
And what do you think about that? Should we go back to that?
That's the ideal, of course, but the bbest fights also carry the biggest risk. And really, I think starting in the 1980s, a lot more importance was invested in two things. One, is it a championship fight? And two, are the participants undefeated? And it was more about those two things to draw in eyeballs, to get viewers, to get ratings, to generate money. This was under the network TV model when they had to draw advertisers, and your ratings dictated how much money the network will collect on a certain program. And once boxing went over to cable and pay-per-view, that wasn't as important because you don't have commercials anymore, right? But the
Right,
model
right.
of zeros and championships have held up. And it got to the point where if a fighter loses a fight, it's like a death blow to their career. And that sent a message throughout the sport. Be very, very, very careful as to what fights you pick, or else you'll lose that zero, and you'll lose your money generation power. You know, it affects your future, and it's still there. I thought actually that Arturo Gatti kind of broke through that model, because there was a time in his career where he lost 3 consecutive fights on HBO.
Yep.
And after the first one, they brought him back. And after the second one, they brought him back. And it was because he put on great shows. He put on great fights.
Yeah, star
and people
power.
loved to watch him fight. And they got ratings and he made money. And I thought that Gatti kind of opened the door toward, let's just have great fights, great matches, great fighters. And don't worry so much about the championships and the zeros. But then Gatti went away, and then people fall back into old habits, I suppose.
That's true.
That's another frustration. But I love talking about good things about boxing. So,
Me too.
you know.
I love talking about things too.
No,
There are
that's
some
why.
things
But that's why I asked you, because I never heard you say anything bad about it.
Well, now you know.
Not even in the chat. I've never heard you say anything
No.
negative about boxing.
I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist at heart. And that's one of the things that sort of keeps me in the boxing game, despite all the frustrations, despite all the things that I said that I hate about it. Boxing bit me hard in 1974, and I don't intend to get cured. You know,
Right,
I'm going to stick around.
And we were talking about that. It's like once you get bitten by this boxing bug, it's just so hard to get away. Like no matter how hard you try, you just can't do it. And why do you think that is?
Could you repeat the question, please?
I said yes, and we talked about that. When the boxing bug bites you, it's so
Yes.
hard to get away. And why do you think that is?
Well, for me, it was the action. I was a 9-year-old kid looking for something to watch on TV on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I just happened to turn on my ABC affiliate, and I see Howard Cosell.
Love Howard.
Setting the stage.
Love Howard. Yes.
Setting the stage for Duran de Jesus 2. And it was such a compelling story because Roberto Duran had only one loss in his career up to that point, and he was fighting the man that beat him, and he was fighting the only man that dropped him in round 1 with a left hook. And now the championship was on the line. Now it was in Panama City, Roberto Duran's hometown. Can De Jesus beat him again? Or can Duran get his revenge? That hooked me. And then comes round 1. And guess what happens in round 1? Duran gets dropped with a left hook again. Now the championship's in danger. And that drew me in. And the first 5 rounds of that fight, they're still among the most violent, pulsating, back and forth action that you'll ever want to see. And that hooked me, and that kept me from changing the channel. And I watched the rest of the fight, and as soon as Duran dropped him in the 7th, he dropped him again in the 11th, the fight was over. Duran looked into the camera, and boom, I was hooked. And I said, I want to learn all I can about this exciting new sport that I just saw. So I went to the library and I checked out books and I discovered Ring Magazine. And I would every free thought in my mind was about boxing and about learning about this. And eventually it took hold and people noticed. And from the time I was in high school, my goal was to become a writer for Ring Magazine.
Wow.
And
Look
it
what
not
happened,
only happened
guys.
once, but twice.
Yes. And tell us about that. So you were in your young 20s, and
Yeah.
it kind of fell in your lap. You know,
Well,
it wasn't
really falling into my lap. It was my taking the initiative, seeing a chance
Okay. Yeah.
to okay, so this was in 1987, and I noticed that a boxing card was going to take place about 35 miles away from my house. Now, back then, Ring Magazine had a section in the back of the magazine called the Rings Around the World section. And it would have fight reports in tiny type from all over the globe, Europe, Japan, South America, Mexico, every place. And I noticed they didn't have a West Virginia correspondent. So I said, okay, this boxing card's coming up. I just graduated from college with a journalism degree and major in English, double minor. I'm going to call the Ring. I'm going to call them up. Cold called them. They didn't know who I was. And I called them up, and I got the managing editor on the other line. I told him who I was. I told him about my writing background. And I said, would you mind if I cover this card for your Rings Around the World section? And to my surprise, he said yes. And he said, we'll mail you a press card. And you'll show them to the promoter, and they'll get you they'll let you in and cover the show. Tell them you're from Ring Magazine. I'm sure they would be very happy to know that somebody from Ring Magazine is covering their show.
Yeah.
And so I did. And so I continued to do that every time that West Virginia had a card. And they must have been impressed with my work because, some of the writers, it was just like so-and-so beat so-and-so at such and such a point in the round. Like I went whole hog. I went in there. I described each fight in detail. I got post-fight interviews. I got quotes, everything like that. My story ran the entire column in tiny type. And so I also asked them, there are these fights from Mexico on Galavision every Saturday. Do you mind if I write up fight reports from those too? And they said, sure. And I think they said, sure, because I was doing all this for free. So along the way, I started corresponding with the editor-in-chief, Nigel Collins. And I told Nigel, one of these days, I really want to write a feature for you, a full-length feature, just like the writers that I grew up reading. And I thought maybe 2, 3, 4 years down the line, when I have a little bit more seasoning, they might give me the opportunity to do something. Meanwhile, I was going to wait for my chance. And my chance happened right around Tyson Spinks in 1988, just the following year. They had another feature writer, Wes Moon. He was writing a story about the infighting between the WBA, WBC, and IBF before Tyson Spinks. And Wes started the story but had to drop out for some reason. Phil calls me up. Phil Martyr, the managing editor, calls me up at home and says, hey, do you want to take over for him? I'm 23 years old. I'm just a year out of college. And here I am getting this opportunity to cover a monster story about a monster fight.
Right.
And I was dumbstruck. I was struck silent. You know me, I talk all the time. But here I didn't have any words. And I just thought about it and I go, wow, this is great. And then Phil finally said, are you gonna do it or not? And I said, oh yeah. So he gave me a bunch of phone numbers. I score an hour-long interview with Jose Sulaiman. The phone bill was $109, but it was worth every penny.
Right.
Right. And then I get the WB or the IBF president, Bob Lee, and he was very cooperative too. Then there was the WBA, our friend, the WBA, Gilberto Mendoza, Sr.
Oh, Gilberto.
His dad. And I got like 4 different phone numbers. Every number that I try, either get a busy signal or a person would answer in Spanish. And then when I told them what I wanted, they still talked in Spanish, So every third call, I got somebody who did speak English. And I told them who I was and what I wanted. And then they switched to Spanish. So I ran into a wall. So I talked to Phil. And he says, well, why don't you try James Binns in Philadelphia? He's the WBA's lawyer. So I said, okay. So I called Mr. Binns. Mr. Ben said, yes, I'll talk to you, but I can't guarantee that the day that you come into Philadelphia, which is an 8.5-hour one-way drive for me, I can't guarantee that I won't have a meeting or something to come up at the last minute, and I might cancel out on you. So that basically said, I don't want to talk to you without saying, I don't want to talk to you. So then I called Phil again, and he pointed me toward, and Tracy, I think you would appreciate this, Nick Karasatis from Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Who's a WBA official. He says he's very friendly with press people.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know everything, but he knows a lot. So I call Phil. I get his wife on the phone. She says he'll be available at such and such a time. I talked to him the next day. He gave me everything that he could. He was very cooperative. And I wrote the story, but I also wrote a sidebar. WBA, why bother answering? And I basically told the story that I just told you.
Love it.
Yeah. So they loved the story. I ended up writing another dozen features for them. So that's how I came to be a ring writer the first time.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
No, that's awesome. That's a great story. And I mean, you're like an example that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You know, I mean, I have a friend that tells me that all the time, be the squeaky wheel. And it's so true, you know, and like, yeah, I correct myself because I said it fell in your lap. No, it didn't. You had to like go and grab it and put it in your lap. And that's exactly what you did.
I basically had to show initiative. And then once they open the door, then I stick my foot in it and I show them what I got.
Yes, absolutely.
I show them what I got, and it's usually good enough. I bet on myself, and eventually I won.
Good for you. And that's what we should do. Absolutely. Absolutely. We were talking earlier, and I think you were watching the show, and we were talking about women in boxing.
Yes.
And we were talking about Clarissa Shields. We were talking about Serrano. And I just want your opinion on where do you see women's boxing today? What do you see? I see
a global renaissance. I was there in the 1990s when Christy Martin, Layla Ali, Ann Wolfe, Lucia Riker, they were making big waves. What Christy Martin, of course, West Virginia native. I am proud to say, actually, that West Virginia is the only state in the country which can claim that a woman is its greatest boxer.
Oh, I love it.
It's Christy Martin. I'm proud of that, actually.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And where do you think women's boxing is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, so if you think about when they started, you know, the Christy Martins, Ann Wolfe, which I love, those are two of my favorites. And there's many more, but those are my personal favorites.
Yeah.
And it's taken a while to get where we're at. Where are we going to be in 5 to 10 years, in your opinion?
It depends on who comes up after the current crop of stars. I do think that today's era is in a much better place than it was in the 1990s because, one, the skill level has gone way up, and it's deeper. The skill level is deeper, over more weight classes. They're also getting more attention and more money. Not everybody's making money, of course, but the women provide action all the time. They often put on better fights than the guys. And the streaming services are showing the entire card, top to bottom. And a lot of cards are including women fighters, especially in Argentina. There's a weekly show on their Torneos y Competencias channel on DirecTV.
Okay.
And a lot of those cards feature female fighters, and they often put on the best shows of the evening. And so with this exposure comes recognition, and where recognition comes money eventually. and you have the top fighters like Clarissa Shields and Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, and they are getting prominent spots on these cards, and they're fighting other good fighters. And I think that that the momentum is there. The momentum is strong. I see good things for female boxing, and also, Lou DiBella talks about more money for women boxers.
Yeah.
And the ratings will tell the story. I don't know how well Clarissa Shields' card with all female fighters did. I certainly bought it, and I was entertained by the show. But ratings will determine everything. Attention will determine everything. I'm a fan of female boxing. I hope it prospers. I hope it spreads. I hope that its athletes will get everything that they deserve.
Absolutely. No, and I love to hear that, most definitely.
You just spoke about sorry, Chrissy, the
No, go
the
ahead.
all
Go ahead.
women's
Please
boxing
go.
show that was done. I loved it. I just wish there would have been women commentators, which we do have, women photographers, which we do have. I really wish, and I sent emails to, I forgot who it was, but I sent emails, asking like for credentials or whatever to get on, because I felt like just having an all women show is not the same if you don't have all women. There was many photographers, there was many commentators, and it should have really honestly been all women, just to promote all the different jobs that women can do in boxing.
Oh, sure. And I can tell you this on the record. One of my favorite blow-by-blow commentators is Christina Poncher. I love Christina Poncher.
She's amazing.
She,
Love her.
I watched her during the TopRank.tv days, where she would sort of be the roving reporter. She would go into camps. She would get information about what the fighters were doing. She was a roving reporter, and she did a really good job in the roving reporter role. And now she's doing blow-by-blow commentary for ESPN.
Yes.
And she's well informed. She's smooth. She's conversational. She mixes well with her co-commentators, whether it be Bomac or Chris Algieri. I think her and Chris Algieri are gold. And now she's being paired with Michaela Mayer. And of course, they made news a couple weeks ago with the all-female color comment or boxing calling team. And frankly, I think that they should just say these are good. Not just that they're women; they're good. They're there because they're good, and they are good.
Absolutely. That just reminds me, I was having a conversation with Christy Martin, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're such a role model to women, to little girls that are looking up, because when I was coming up, there was no one, and I wanted to box at a very young age. And she said, but I don't just want to be a role model for women. I want to be a role model for little boys too. And I was just like, wow, I love that. Because it's like in this day and age, we have to only specify, because we are women, that we want to be role models for little girls. But she's absolutely right. Just be a role model, period. Because we all do something boxing, and we want to be a role model to whoever wants to do what we do, and help them in any way that we can. So I was very impressed by her answer, because we're just kind of programmed as women sometimes that we only have to talk about that and say, oh yes, little girls around the world, or women everywhere. But it's just like people everywhere. Whatever we're doing, they can do it, no matter who they are.
Dudes can love boxing too. Women's boxing too. I appreciate what Amanda Serrano brings to the table. She's ferocious. She throws a ton of punches. So as for me, as a guy who works for CompuBox, I love to count fighters who throw tons of punches. She delivers knockouts. Here's a stat for you. Amanda Serrano, going into this fight, has 30 knockouts, 30 career knockouts. She is only 2 away from tying Christy Martin's all-time record for most knockouts among female fighters with 32.
Wow.
And she's only 32 years old. And so it looks like if she continues on this path, she's going to become the Archie Moore of women's boxing. because Archie
Well,
has the men's record.
and we were just talking about that. Like, it's like we have to promote ourselves as women. I mean, I think sometimes more than men. And I know that Clarissa Shields promotes herself, and I have so much respect for her and everything she's done. But the true GOAT today, who is it? I mean, it would have to be Serrano, in my opinion. You know,
Well,
and not taking
I don't.
anything away from Clarissa.
Well, you know, greatest woman of all time. I don't know. I think that you know, Margaret Thatcher and Indira Gandhi, some of the other great women, you know, of the past. But the greatest woman boxer, you know, she is very confident, and she does need to toot her own horn, and that's how she gets her name out there. As far as number one
Absolutely.
pound for pound, you can pretty much go 1A, 1B, 1C between Clarissa, Amanda, and Katie. You know, all of them are richly accomplished.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And
I agree with you.
absolutely, you know, what Clarissa has done in so few fights is phenomenal. She is one of the very few fighters in boxing history to win 3 championships in descending weight order. It's you know, a lot of people have done it in ascending weight order, but not in descending weight order. And in that vein, Amanda Serrano once won a title at 140, and then at a very short time later, she won a title at 115. That's extraordinary.
I remember that. That was unbelievable. That was amazing. And Jamel Herring, yes. Lucia Riker, but I mean, she got knocked out by my girl. But yes, she was great too.
Oh, absolutely.
No, and I agree. And it's like we
And
have
Wolf.
so many greats. So
And
many
Wolf.
greats. And Wolf,
Big
yes.
Jamal.
And Wolf, I love her. She's amazing.
The greatest knockout in women's boxing history with Vonda Ward.
Yeah.
And of course, my friend Smitty called that fight. Yeah. So, you know.
Right. Yes, he absolutely did. Yes, definitely. And so we have Jamel on, and I told him we're going to talk about a little bit about his upcoming fight with Shakur. There's been a lot of back and forth on Twitter and a lot of things being said, but obviously Jamel's very humble, and he just kind of he stays quiet, and Shakur, you know, he's younger and he's got a lot to say because he got a lot of criticism on his last fight. We also know that they're training in the same camps and doing some things that is not normal in most people's eyes. So tell me what you think about that fight. I want to know your expert opinion on that.
It's a fascinating fight. It really is, because Jamel Herring brings several elements to the table that Shakur Stevenson hasn't really faced as a professional. One, he's a fellow southpaw. Two, he's taller and has a longer reach than Shakur does. Three, Jamel's got a really good jab. Ever since he got together with Bomac, his jab has gotten a lot better. It wasn't bad originally, but it's gotten a lot better. So he is better able to control range. He's also been through the wars. He's experienced defeat. He's experienced disappointment. And he's bounced back. And he became a champion. And he's continued to be champion. He has been treated as the B-side for more than a few of his fights. He wasn't supposed to be the guy who won, but he's the champion. And and after the criticism that he faced against Oquendo, which I thought was unfair, it was unfair, the criticism that he had. But he went up against Carl Frampton overseas, neutral ground, but overseas. He was there as the B side. They were hoping that Carl Frampton, the big name, would win. And Jamel answers the critics by putting on one of the best performances of his career. He looked great against Frampton. And those of us in the chat, you know, he drops in by the chat, every so often. We sort of followed his journey from training camp to the fight. We watched the fight, and we couldn't have been more happy for him. We're big fans of his.
Absolutely. No,
But as far as Shakur Stevenson is concerned, he's younger. He's very quick. He's very gifted defensively. One of his fights against Carlos Ruiz didn't land a single punch until round 5, which is incredible. So I think you got a scientific match against two southpaws, very skilled, one experienced, one has a very good amateur pedigree. So does Jamel. He's an Olympian too.
They both do.
I think this is one for the purists. And I'm a purist. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of the fight.
Me too.
Yeah.
We all are.
Absolutely. I'm excited. And how can you
Let's go, Jamel.
How can you not like Jamel? I mean,
Hook it up.
Shakur's up and coming. He's got his whole future ahead of him. He's young. He's crafty. He's smart. I love his trainers. I love everything about him. But how can you not love Jamel? Like he's
Yes.
a hero. He's defeated the odds. He has like shown us who he is. He has made adjustments. We've seen his growth, and he doesn't get involved in the back and forth. It's like how can you not love him? I don't know. I'm very excited about the fight. It's very interesting because they both train sometimes at the same place. And
Right.
They know each other.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like they're both in Colorado sometimes, and they've got all the coaches up there, and I'm just like and I was talking to one of his coaches the other day, and I'm like, so are they going to train at different times? I mean, like, how's it going to be? It's going to be a little weird, but they're working it out. So I'm very curious to see, and I plan on being there.
All right.
I'm making arrangements.
And they both seem so disciplined. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know them personally, but they just seem so disciplined, and they seem like at any time they're just ready for any fight. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, and they both have great trainers behind them and great corners. It's just like, and they're great.
I don't think Shakur is disciplined. I don't think Shakur is disciplined.
We know who
I
nice
think
is.
he's very immature.
But Harry,
I'm going to disagree with that.
so much consistency.
I think
Yes.
Shakur is very immature, and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
So doing away with the WBA interim belts, what do you think about that?
Long overdue. Long overdue. I mean,
Very,
I
very
can't-
immature. I don't think he's disciplined at all. I think that he feels like he has.
Micah's on
Uh-oh.
delay. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get her back. But
okay.
what
Well-
what do you
Oh
what do you think about
no.
that, Lee?
I
Do away with the belts.
the fewer world. I mean, look. When I got into boxing, there was only 2 belts, the WBA and the WBC. We were one fight away from unification. Now we have 4 major sanctioning bodies, and several of them have multi-layers of championships.
Mm-hmm.
It's just metastasized into something
They knew I was gonna go in, so they cut me off.
Oh no! But it
we didn't cut you off. We
metastasized.
didn't cut you off.
And I understand from the fighter's viewpoint
No,
that
I'm talking about the.
more championships means more money for the fighters. I understand that. But there is one world, right? And we need one world champion. And the WBA cutting it down from 4 championships to perhaps 2.
Mhm.
Now, I read that the gold belt is going to be more like a regional championship, and it's not going to be a subordinate championship or something like that. So if there's only going to be one WBA champion, that's progress. But I think the ultimate progress is to have one world champion in every weight class, and to have that champion defend frequently so that
Right.
the title can keep moving, and then you have matches between the contenders to see who challenges the champion, and you do so without the stigma that comes with a loss. Honor fighters who take risks, like Pacquiao did.
Absolutely.
Give them the credit for taking the risk, and if they fight a good fight, don't stigmatize them.
I totally agree with that. I do. Yeah, it's time. It was time. It's like you get confused. Like just the normal boxing fan. I mean, even us that are involved in boxing, for me personally, it's confusing. It's like, okay, is this like the baby belt, the interim? Is it the super? Is it what is it? You know?
Yeah.
So I'm very glad to hear that. I'm sorry for the guys that are getting dropped out or whatever. I don't even know the list of guys that are, losing the belt, the title, whatever it is. But it's time. It's time for this change. Absolutely, most definitely. So yeah, Jamel was saying, are they going to keep the super belt? But they are keeping.
They are. I think that's going to be the belt.
Yeah.
When we had that 4-belt confusion, me as a historian, I considered the super belt as being the real belt.
Absolutely.
And regular gold, interim, whatever, their secondary titles or whatever. But the less confusion, the better. Boxing is a confusing sport as it is.
It is. Yes.
The less confusion, the better.
That's why I
Absolutely.
listen in
totally
on the
agree.
chat, because I'm like, I can't keep up with all these damn belts.
Right.
Yeah. It's very
Like,
hard.
what does that mean? What is that belt? What is that? What is that one? What's that? What's
Right.
lineal? What?
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. But Lee, and I had another question too, and then
Sure.
whoever, in the chat. So where do you see the Jake Pauls in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh gosh, she said.
Is it going to last? Are they lasting?
I don't think so. But, history is a guide. We did have a period, I think in the 1990s, where they had celebrity boxing. I think they had Tanya Harding had one of those celebrity fights.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think that who was Greg Brady? The actor who played Greg Brady had a fight. Danny Bonaduce had a fight.
I remember.
That's how
and
silly this is with Jake Paul.
It kind of fizzled out when the novelty fizzled out, but we also didn't have social media like we have now. Jake Paul, he has already made his mark in the mainstream. I remember talking to a friend of mine who is deeply connected into the sport, and he told me that he was giving a tour of there were some school kids that were taking a tour, and the kids asked him, about Muhammad Ali, about Floyd Mayweather, and about Jake Paul. And those are the ones that, he's reaching the kids. He really is. And it seems to me that Jake Paul said, this is what I do it for. I want to lift up boxing to be the great sport that it deserves to be. And if that's his motivation, then that's a good thing. But
so he's
you fell for that, Lee. Come on, Lee.
I'm an optimist. Remember, I'm an optimist.
Right.
Now, it may turn out to be a line of bull.
He's doing it for the paper. He's not trying to lift nothing but his bag with the money in it. That's what he's trying to lift up. He's not trying to lift up no boxing.
We don't need a general TikTok judges or Instagram influencer referees. Like, we need to keep boxing at least somewhat to its core.
But
at least, yeah.
But I don't think this is going to last.
I do love your optimism. I do. But I feel like that's a little bit self-serving and cocky to say, it's me. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to be the one. When we've had so many greats, it's almost insulting to the ones that have come before him that were actual boxers. So, but I love your
He's not
optimism.
lifting
I
up
really do.
nothing.
And he's also invested several years into training. He got a professional license. It's not an exhibition. It's going on his record, his official record. Now you can certainly criticize the opponents that he's fought so far. An
Absolutely.
NBA player, a retired MMA wrestler. He's now fighting Tyron Woodley, who was a UFC welterweight champion. He was a state champion wrestler in high school. He was a two-time All-American wrestler in college. He had and he has a hell of a right hand, based on the highlight videos that I saw. But I think that he was chosen for a reason, and the reason is that he's 39 years old. He's 15 years older than Jake Paul. He hasn't won a fight for a while. He's lost his last four. Won by the last two by a rib injury and a first round choke submission. And he's small, he's shorter, and he's naturally lighter. So the matchmaking is there,
Yeah.
for another. I don't think the Jake Paul story ends Sunday. I don't think it ends.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens down the road. And the further he goes with it, he's going to have to take more risks. He's going to have to actually fight a boxer.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Who's his trainer?
BJ Flores is
Really?
is training him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
And
it is what it
and
is.
I don't knock anybody for getting the bag, making your money and this and that. But being in this for a long time, in the back end, in the front
He's here to
end,
lift
it's
the
just-
boxing. I can't.
yeah, it's something. But
I
you know
can't.
what? Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens in that.
I can't.
So before we wrap it up, I'm gonna go dark for a
Sure.
second. So I want to know, when we're gone, what do we want to be remembered for? What's going to be on our tombstone having to do with boxing? And I'm going to start with Nika.
Oh, why me? Why me?
Something about boxing. It doesn't have to, you don't have to literally do that, but I'm just curious. What do we want to be known for?
Can I go? I don't want to go first. I gotta think about
Okay, you
this.
go. Okay. Tracy. Okay,
Okay.
Esmeralda, you ready? Okay, Esmeralda's ready. Let's go.
No.
I think just like Nika said at the beginning, I think mine would just say fotógrafa de la gente. Like I said, it's I love shooting the undercards and I love shooting the people who are not famous yet, and I love it for the kids as well. So that's exactly what I am, just for the people. The civilians, the regular people.
Absolutely. I think that's beautiful. And you do a great job. Absolutely. So Lee, you want to go next?
Well, I'll give it a shot. What I want to be remembered for, it doesn't really matter. It's what other people think of me. But I hope that I am remembered as somebody who accurately described the history of the sport in an honest way, in an accurate way, a storyteller. I'm a good storyteller, both verbally and in the written word. I want to be remembered as somebody who wants to honor the history of the sport as it is now, and hopefully the sport in the future. That my writings and any other thing that I am doing connected with boxing will honor it, and it will reflect my love of the sport. I'm rooting for it.
Absolutely. I love it. And it shows. It shows.
It shows
in your writing.
People
and,
see
and
that.
Things. Absolutely, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you won't have to say anything. Everybody's going to say it for you, which is
Mm-hmm.
which
That's
is
what I'm
amazing.
hoping for.
Absolutely.
I don't want to
Tracy,
brag.
No. And my mom always said, let other people talk about you. You don't have to brag about yourself. Just let other people talk about you. So yeah, I get it. Definitely. Tracy.
Oh yes.
What is your tombstone gonna say?
My tombstone's gonna say that this crazy ass bitch rapped. And damn, I love boxing. I loved it since I first watched it when I was 11 years old with my dad. And my dad would basically break down fights every time I sat and watched it. So I learned a lot. So that's why I'm like, I could coach. And that's why when I used to go to the gym 2 years ago, I'd yell at the fighters. And well, I had a fighter I was working with, and I'd be like, no, faster, better, stronger, everything. I don't know, being remembered as just loving the sport, because my dad made me fall in love with the sport, the pure boxing, like the pure two people in a ring, and it's a battle between just these two people, and it's unbelievable to me, like who's gonna win, who's better, who's stronger, whose minds. I just absolutely fell in love with boxing. It was that raw power, and then making things change as far as what happened recently with the racist judge. So I'm kind of like, a whole bunch of shit's going to be on my tombstone. So
girl, that's going to be a tall tombstone.
Yeah, it's supposed to be written on your tombstone.
On my tombstone. My God, I went on for 3 minutes.
Both of y'all are going to have very tall tombstones, but that's okay.
It's just going to say, my kids put on there, my mama loved boxing.
Love it.
And she wanted to make changes.
That's awesome.
A crusaderette.
There you go. Absolutely. So, Nika, you want me to go, or are you going next?
I'll go now. So on my tombstone, I think it should say that Nika was a funny boxing fan with a short fuse. But if you got her timing wrong, if you got her timing wrong, you could see that she probably would have been a real boxer. Boom.
Yeah.
Twitter warrior.
I think people
Twitter
will
warrior
with the red
cup. Oh, we gotta have a red cup on there. I'm probably gonna go.
Oh yeah, the red cup.
If I don't, I'm gonna make sure the red cup.
I want everybody to put red cups all around.
They will.
Absolutely.
Have a red cup on me.
And put women crushing. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag women crushing it Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, just that I do what I love. I'm lucky. I did what I loved, and I was lucky. Really. And I don't want to say, Lee talked about earlier, it just didn't fall in his lap. It's not just luck or whatever. You do have to be the squeaky wheel. If you want something, you have to go for it. A lot of times people around you will tell you can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not talented enough. Who do you think you are? But you just have to.
I certainly wasn't pretty enough.
Jump over them and say, you know what? But this is what I want to do. This is the desire that I feel that I have to fulfill. I think that we all have a purpose. We're born with it, and we got to go with it. So I'm doing what I love, and I feel that I'm lucky. That's pretty much what it is.
My tombstone should read, he lived his best life, and his life was boxing.
I love. Okay, see, that's perfect.
That. I love that.
Absolutely, that says
I love that.
It really does.
I love that.
I don't want to really die right now, so I don't want to think about it.
Oh, we're not dying right now. We have another. Tracy,
now that my birthday's next week, it's like, are you saying that because my birthday's next week?
No, I'm older than you. Kidding. So Lee, Tracy, and I are the same age, so we have at least another 50 years. I'm more than halfway to 100, and I'm gonna keep going. It is what it is. And then these babies have way longer than we do, but like I said, I'm only
10 years behind you.
You're
Yeah,
16
y'all are
years
all
behind
babies.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great. So before we close the show, I want everyone to tell our audience and our listeners where to find you all. You know, we do this every time we end the show. So we can up our followers, guys. Like us on YouTube, follow us on social media. Best boxing news, my opinion. I don't want to toot our own horn, but you know, and I don't know of another all woman show. But if there is one, please let us know because I want to support them. You know, definitely. So Esmeralda, where can we find you and what do you do, girl?
I'm a photographer and I work with spring boxing and on here with my girlfriends. You can find me on Instagram under Fotógrafa de la Gente. On Twitter, I'm at Esme Ferraro. Be very active on Twitter this weekend with Serrano and Mercado fighting. So I'm looking forward to reading everything and writing everything.
Absolutely. And Lee, for the people that live under a rock, where can they find you? What do you do?
What do I do?
On Twitter.
What don't I do? Okay, so
Right.
I am a writer, researcher, and punch counter for CompuBox. I write for Ring Magazine as well as Ring Magazine's website, ringtv.com. I've written a couple of books, Tales from the Vault and Muhammad Ali by the Numbers. You can get both on Amazon. I also am a panelist on In This Corner, the podcast on Fight TV, fight.tv, FITE.tv. We're on usually on Saturdays, and we have an episode coming up on this Saturday covering the Paul fight and the Serrano fight, and a recap of Pacquiao and Ugas. And yeah, I'm doing all. This keeps me very, very busy, and I thank God every day for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nika, what's your handle, girl?
So you can find me on Twitter,
Oh, I forgot Twitter.
boxing underscore birdie or bird 81, one of those two. Then you can find me on YouTube under Knockouts with Nika. That's about it.
Boxer girl.
Oh, and Instagram too.
Oh,
Knockouts with Nika
Instagram.
on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, hey, everybody. Oh, hey. Oh, hey.
She had some popsicles, guys, in case y'all missed it earlier.
I did. It was a margarita
Those darn popsicles.
It was delicious. You can find me on social media, Boxer Girl 1970. You know, I'm just I don't do Facebook, no. So that's where I'm at.
You're an advocate. You made some big moves, some big changes.
Yes. We're
And-
pushing. Yeah, we push for the WBA to take action against the judge, and everyone got together on Twitter, and it happened. She got fired, and now the WBA is all of a sudden dropping all these belts. But we're trying to get, and I actually messaged the Guillermo, I don't know what his name is, and said, you need to change that L to a W on Michael Fox's record, period. It's easy. Just do it. So he said he was looking into it, or he was sending a note or something like that. So
Right, to the Minnesota Commission.
yes.
And I forgot to mention I'm on Twitter at Lee Groves Boxing. I'm also on Facebook. So there you go. I forgot about that.
No, that's good. That's wonderful. Lee, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Like, I hope you join us again.
I hope so too.
Absolutely. I so appreciate the support that you give us. I mean, you always give us great comments, great questions, and I just so appreciate your support. I really do. And everybody that supports us, thank you so much for tuning in. Every Wednesday, 7:30 Central on In the Room with Christine. Follow us all. I'm on In the Room with Christine on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. and YouTube. So please keep tuning in, and I appreciate you all so much. And y'all have a great night. Thank you.
Peace, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
See ya.
Bye.